Alrighty, so let's get started on episode 2. If you haven't seen episode 1, you should probably watch that first and then come back to here. So let's get started.
So I had narrowed into radiology. Well, first of all, radiology is medical imaging. It involves imaging such as X-ray, MRI, CT scan, ultrasound, PET scans, radiation therapy. There may be more. I hope I'm not failing my industry by DEXA scan, bone density scan, that's part of it, mammography. It's a lot. There's a lot of great, imaging modalities in there.
I remember looking at the course prerequisites with you for getting into the X-ray program, right? The radiology program. And, and it was daunting. So why don't you talk a little bit about that and, physiology and anatomy and algebra, and here's this person that's, an art student and a creative, and now all of a sudden you're being throwing yourself into, radiation physics and mathematical equations and, crap that I was looking at and was like, going, shit, I'm glad I'm not having to do that. Other than just self-doubt, did you ever think, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Did you ever play a movie in your head?
First day of the X-ray program, I was in a classroom full of people in their 20s. A couple other non-traditional students, but not very many. And they were running through the entire program manual. It's very formal. And I was sitting in the back and I thought to myself, what in the hell am I doing here? I'm a video editor. I'm a creative. I don't know if I can ever do this. Like, this is way too much. Maybe this was a mistake and I should just sort out being a video editor until I retire. It was very difficult to become a beginner again at something very humbling, especially coming from a career where I felt, so like I really had a strong skill set and had a level of mastery to walk into something where I'm starting over completely. These are the self-defeating beliefs that I want to go over because I had to conquer each one of these. And if there's anyone in the audience listening that is contemplating any kind of daunting change that they are voluntarily embarking on or is being imposed on them in a way that they can't control, these types of beliefs are so important to identify and then just to unlock and dissolve as best as you can. And so these were mine. I hate school. I'm not good at anything else. I suck at math. And I can't take out any more student debt. I mean, art school is very expensive and I have quite a bit of debt from that.
You navigated through all of these different difficult clinical placements, academic requirements. You hadn't graduated yet. Do you remember the conversation that we had?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
You are my person and you help me to be the best version of myself. So I think it was maybe like March or early April, and I had started a student tech job, which is common. When you're, going to be graduating soon, you can start working professionally with, when you have another technologist that's licensed that's around. And I started that, and just one day you were like, so where are you going to work? And I just felt so stunned by the question because I was like, well, I haven't graduated yet. I haven't passed my board exam yet. I'm not licensed. Like, no one's going to even be interested in hiring me. And you're like, yes, they will. And you were like, I work with doctors all the time. They've got contracts for their jobs set up 6 months before they ever graduate. And I was like, well, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to be a doctor. Nobody, it was like this. Nobody wants me. I'm not good enough. And I thought about it a little bit. And I started thinking, well, maybe he's right.
I guess the reason why I brought that situation up where I asked you the question, so where are you going to work? Right? Because this is another thing that happens when people are making transitions. They get so focused on what that they're doing, right? It's almost like they're focusing on the very front part of the road that they're driving, and they're not paying attention to like what's down the road. When there's a lot of freedom to be thinking about not only what's in front of you, but what's my intention, right?
Because you're in it.
Because you're in it, right?
Yeah.
And you're completely absorbed, right? And so, when did you shift into the idea that maybe you could start applying?
You're always ahead of me, and sometimes you bring up things and I really have to catch up to where you're at. And I don't know.
It's easy. I mean, I'm like on the outside.
Right. And I think I just needed to sleep on it. But anyway, back to the job thing. I think I slept on it, and I started looking at jobs and thinking about what I wanted to do next. And I knew that I wanted to go right into CT. Some people may know that as CAT scan. It's just an older way of referring to the modality of CT. And I started applying, and I figured, what the hey, and I got my resume together, which is hilarious because I hadn't written a resume in like 20 years. I didn't need a resume to do any of the things that I had been doing. I actually met with the career services director on Zoom, and we worked. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and please help me. And he worked with me. We talked about how to do a job interview. I hadn't done a job interview in 20 years. I didn't know how to do it. He talked me through what to be ready for, what questions to have ready to answer. He sent me sort of like a template of a resume that would be appropriate for someone in my field with my level of experience. And I sent him a creative resume before that, or like something, and he's like, "Yeah, no.
That's too woo-woo.
No,
That's too artistic.
No." And so it was really valuable. And I don't think I also touched on, actually, let me answer this. Okay, let me finish the thing about the job. I got responses immediately from the jobs that I applied to. I applied to be a CT tech in 3 or 4 different hospital systems, and got responses in less than 24 hours from all of them. They all wanted to interview me. They didn't care that I hadn't graduated. And you were right. You were right. You bring up just kind of what you're alluding to. This really was, I don't know if any of the listeners have heard of the term human metamorphosis, but I found it very liberating when I discovered this phrase, because I was going through that. And sometimes you don't appreciate the level of transformation and all the energy that it takes, and how painful it really is when you're in it, because you're in it. And hopefully it's not too cliche, but the whole idea of a butterfly and a chrysalis, I did some research on this, and there are digestive juices inside the chrysalis that basically digest the caterpillar's body down to not very much. It's just like a human soup. It's like a caterpillar soup. Sorry, that's probably not very appetizing. But there are times like during that process when I felt like human soup. I felt like I couldn't lean on any of the things that I could before. My ego completely melted down. And it's very disorienting, and having a good support system that's really there for you during that time is crucial. You were an excellent support system for me. But there are those days where you just You don't feel like, you have the moments where you're like, oh, I can do this. Yes, I'm going to do it. This is amazing. And then on the flip side, you have those days where you're like, I'm nuts. I'm never going to be able to do this.
Also, when you touched on it, which I'm really glad that you did, about how important it is when you're making a transition to have people around you that can have alternate vision, right? Not your vision, but vision that's alternate. And to be able to have as much support as you can. And, whether it's, an academic, transition or, an employment change or a career change or, a health problem, having other people and knowing sort of what their stories are about can be really helpful. And I didn't want to sort of pass that part up that I know about you because I'm sure that I hope that there's somebody listening out there that goes, oh my God, I'm so glad that Kara said that because I've been thinking, that's what I've been thinking about. Maybe I do need to have, people around me that support me. Who would those people be?
It's something that was really special about you, other than the fact that you're really special to me anyway, is that you did this yourself. You went back to school in midlife.
Right.
With 2 small children to boot, and you changed into a completely different career. You went from creative to something more medical, more analytical. And so you knew what I was going through, and you had that perspective, and you could encourage me when I was feeling down or exhausted. God, it was exhausting, the whole thing, the mental strain, everything. I had to learn physics and I had to do algebra again. I was actually fascinated by the physics. It was amazing. You just helped me so much, to get through those dark moments and to support me through all of it.
What are a couple of things that you would say to them that would be like a part of their sort of survival kit, right? That they could take with them?
This conversation is making me realize how much I've taken for granted because I'm through it. But I learned so much I learned things about myself that I didn't know, that I love science, that science is amazing. And just all all those self-defeating stories were all wrong. I was a great student. I got straight A's through my whole program.
Right.
I loved learning. I love to learn. I didn't know that about myself. I still don't enjoy math, but math taught me a lot. Math taught me that it's okay, that I'm human, to slow down, to look carefully, and slowly start taking things apart and solve one little problem at a time. I'm so much richer. And the other things I built, if you do change careers, if specifically you can relate to that, when you start and you go through this metamorphosis, you're building a new foundation. And that's messy. Life is messy. It's a messy, messy process. And it's very human. And that's okay.
I don't know any transition that's not messy. As a matter of fact, if it's not messy,
you're probably not doing it right.
You're probably not doing it right.
Yeah.
or it's probably not the one, maybe the one that you were really thinking about scared you too much. I don't know. Maybe not. Is there anything else that you can think of that you'd want to pass on?
I believe that we're all here for a reason. And I believe that everything that we draw into our lives is helping us to evolve. And that whatever it is that we go through, we will be able to offer that wealth to the people that we encounter. That everything has purpose. That if you weren't struggling, you're not growing at the rate that you could be. It is in those times of tribulation that are so difficult for us, whether we voluntarily walk into them or whether they're brought onto us by something that is beyond our control, those times of challenge are what accelerate your growth more than you could ever imagine. So there's purpose, there is a reason, there is a benefit and a positivity that can come out of any experience if you look at it that way. If you see whatever is happening to you as an opportunity for growth, it will be that. There's a lot of truth that can come from your soul that you already have inside of you that you're just not conscious of, that can really help you as you navigate, this time. And also reach out for help and just know that this time is temporary and that you're going to come out the other side a better version of yourself.